Welcome to episode 48. This is the Peer-to-Peer Network coding session series. And today we are going to be coding the last request that I'm going to be doing for the Peer-to-Peer Network series. And it's the list of social entities of a certain profile. Okay? So as you can see here, we already did create user profile, get user profile info, and we have also these two guys. So the last one we are going to deal with is the list social entities. Okay, list social entity. This is to retrieve a list of social persona belonging to the user profile created as signer. Social persona or social trading bots belonging to the user profile created as a signer. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. Then the place we're going to do it is at this module. We already have this functions created. Now we need social entity here. We put this message. Make ourselves sure that we have this clean. And we're going to list give me a second, I'm taking some notes. Profile. Okay, so yeah, so as I did in the other ones, in the other functions here, I will put some validations in here and define which are the properties that I am expecting to run this function. Okay, so in fact what I will probably do is to copy this whole stuff so as to get the right structure in place and delete everything that I don't need from here. Many times it's better to do it in this way so as to keep a structure. Okay, so in the case of list social entities, right, let's say that I will ask for the social entity type, also the user app type, and not this handle because I don't need this handle. So at this function we are going to load the user app file, load from the user app file the info regarding of where the profile is stored. So I am starting to see that this function is being duplicating. It's what it's doing, but anyways, very small stuff. So I'm going to load from the user app file the info regarding where the user profile is stored, including the token to access. So we are going to load the user profile from storage. So here we are not going to assume, or maybe we assume, let me think about this. Can we assume because we're not going to modify this, so we probably can get the user profile not from storage, but from um, we have an in-memory. I mean, we have all the profiles loaded in memory that comes out of the bootstrapping process. The problem that we will have is that this is done only once when we start the app. And let's say I sign up, create a new user profile, then that profile is not really in memory. And there is no procedure to update that. Well, maybe when I create a user profile, a new one, or I update it, I should have also update its version in memory version. That would be the right thing to do. That would be the right thing to do. So then I can check for any information directly from the user profile in memory. Hmm. Wow. I didn't see that problem before. So that means that I have to update the in-memory version of the profile as part of the creation process, and also once we have a social entity added to the profile, I need to replace the in-memory version. Okay, but the thing is that in this case, this query that lists the social entities, I can do it. I can assume that I can do it from the in-memory version. Okay, so we are not going to load the user profile. We're going to from memory, and then list the results. Okay, and that's it. There's nothing else to do. So this is going to be a simple stuff comparing to the others. So let's do it. We have this validated here, social entity type validated here. That means that all this stuff is not really needed. Okay, so then the first function, I don't think we are going to need this because we're not going to do any GitHub operations here. So probably so what we're going to need is to load the app file. That is this very simple function. Then load user profile from memory. We'll check for the user profile, read the user profile from in-memory map. Okay, so this is going to be replaced by user profile is going to be equal to and we have already when we read this file, hold on, there's something that I forgot, and this is removing these tokens from my previous session. The thing that I need to do is, yeah, here I have user profile and ID. So that is what I need to retrieve. I'm going to say that let user profile ID here is going to be the only thing that I actually need here. File content dot user profile dot ID. Okay, and with this user ID I'm going to use it here to get user profiles by ID. Well, I'm not sure this is going to find anything, but let me get here and I can go to projects, social network, social trading. Is it social trading or maybe it's the network, the one loading these modules? bootstrapping process. Okay. Okay, so then social trading. I'm a little bit surprised that I cannot find this easily. User profiles, yes, but by social entity ID. That's not what I need. I need user profile by blockchain account, user profiles by ID. So where are you being set? Here. User profile by ID. So we're just going to read this. Um, get user profile by ID. Okay, now we have the user profile. And from there, we just need to list the result. List add social entity nodes. So list social entities and all the rest. Okay, this is something wrong here. There is something wrong that I just have discovered. Let me finish this first. The thing that is wrong is that here is returning, and this return is going to produce a lot of problem. because we are inside a promise. So if you return this, the problem is never going to resolve or reject, and this is never going to end. So here I have to correct this, but I also have to correct it here, that I had it wrong, and I also have to correct it here, that I had this all wrong. Okay, now this is much better. Okay, so here what we're going to do is the following. These social entities, we don't need anything of what is inside here currently. We might say here, if user profile is undefined, then the response shouldn't be okay. In fact, should be user profile not found. Okay, and there is no stack here. So let social entities is going to be an array. And then I'm going to do this. Yeah, there is a switch based on social entity type. So switch equals to social personas. If there is a social persona, what we're going to do is user profile of personas. If it is not undefined, then for e equals 0, inside this node there is another node there is an array called social personas. So we will iterate it, and from that array extract, we will have each social persona equals we will have a node for each item. So then this item is going to have a config JSON parse social persona. No, probably the configs are already parsed here. I think they're already parsed. Yeah, they're already parsed. So config, and we're going to call this social and social entity is going to be an object with the code name. It's going to be config.codename, and also ID, social persona.id, and handle config.handle. Okay, and that's pretty much everything I need to send back. So I will put this, push it into here, and then we will at the end create a response here. Okay, request process it, and I'm going to send here social entities is going to be social entities. Okay, so when this is a social trading bot, then here is going to be social trading bots. In fact, there's going to be not like this, because we are going to need, we have an intermediate node that is called user bots. If user bot is not undefined, then inside of this we will have if social trading bots, then here we will have this, and replace this by this by this, and all this is replaced by this. So this is a social trading bot, and this will have the ID of the social trading bot, and all the rest is the same. All right, so we will put a breakpoint here, here, and here, and we are ready to test this function. Okay, this is the query to get all the social personas, but remember it's subject to the update of the in-memory version of this that we will have to code after this. So this quest, if okay, will send back following data. And in this case, the data that is going to send back is social entity and array of social entities with an ID, or name, and handle. Okay. I'm wondering if when I create a social persona, if I would need the social persona ID at the web app. So maybe entity ID, that is the ID, the social entity just created. So I'm going to return this because it is usually needed. So when we add the target nodes here, we will add to the response is going to be target node.id. Okay. Okay, so that's to make it a little bit more usable. Okay, so let's go and check this out. We will have here our message is going to be, in this case, list social entities. List social entities, so we are going to remove this. social persona, and this. So we need these three parameters. And this is our test message. So we will debug from here. And let's go. Okay, all this is good. We got the ID. Next thing to do, we got the user profile. Next thing to do, this exists. So this, we have two guys. So for each guy, we'll get a social entity, code name, handle, and ID. Push it to the array. In the response, we have this guy. Okay. So we should have logged. We should have logged this. But I actually don't see this logged. So we are going to check who is calling this guy. That it must be from inside here. List social entities. Okay, let's execute this again. We know this works. Perfect. Perfect, amazing. Okay. So I'm thinking why this has two messages. Why two times? Something strange is going on there. Hold on. One and two. Okay, it's like the resolve is executing two times. What is going on? Interesting. Okay, is logging the response at two different places? Okay. So the confusion was because this was duplicated. Okay, but still anyway, I have a doubt here. Does resolve also return? Well, maybe I can make a test here very quickly. If I resolve and I console log after resolve, does that execute? Yes, it does, which means that this is incorrect. What we did here, this has to be expanded to resolve and return. Because otherwise it will continue executing and it will be a mess. The last resolve is okay because it doesn't need to, it's not executing anything else. But all these validations are incorrect. Return, 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 and return. Okay. Now this is correct. Okay, so we have this function done, but at the same time we need to fix everything we have in here, because this is incorrect. And something very similar I need to do here, because we're carrying this mistake from a huge amount of places. And also all this validation after the result they need to return. Okay, and also here all these validations need to return. I see something wrong here. Okay, there's a problem. I broke something here. Okay, okay. So all this is fixed now. Then like fixes. Then the last thing I want to do is to, when I create a user profile and when I update the user profile, I need to update push profile and pull requests. I'm going to update in memory. I need to await this. Update in memory user profile. Okay. So the way to do this is I will need a small function for this at the end of this sequence. Okay, so the way I'm going to handle this is the following. I need the profile ID and the user profile, okay? Okay, I got the user profile, and by having it, I have the profile ID too. So then I will need from save plugin to in-memory structure. I will need to create this. In-memory user profile. User profile. Oh, I need the all nodes in plugins map. Where is this stuff? Oh, now I am not that well, because this means that I'm going to have to redo some stuff here. Okay, so we will have some problems to solve. Error, user profile. Updated user profile could not be loaded into memory. Okay, we're going to return this. Okay, and then we're going to set the in-memory user profile and with a user profile ID, and that would replace the in-memory version. The only problem is that to execute this, I need this guy, and I don't have it. Okay, the reason I don't have it is because this guy the reason I don't have it is because this stuff is local to this. Okay, so we will have to do this an in-memory variable and be always available, because I didn't take into account that we will have to be updating this over time. This isn't that big of a problem, but it might. Okay, so here are the mentions of this. Here are the utilities where we are receiving this and using it. Here, here, and here. So what I'm going to do is to create a similar stuff here. User profile by ID. Okay. So let's see how we fix this. So we can get and set this map. We set it here. But the name is going to be, we set it here. And we get it here. Okay. And all the rest disappears, because now it's a map that is always in memory. So we don't need you here. We don't need you here. And we don't need you here. Also, we don't need you here. Nodes, we don't need you here. And we don't need you here. And that's how we can update the in-memory user profile. Okay. So we are going to use the same function. we're going to use this same function in here when we are adding a social entity. Okay, so we are changing the nodes of a profile. So one of the things we need to do is to update this. So that means that whatever we have here we will also need it here. So we are going to debug this little function, and for that we will need to go back to create a social entity, like this. Okay, so we will execute this guy. Oops. Okay, I will need a token to do this. I get it. So we generate a new token. This is for creating social persona. That means that here we need to set it up. And we are going to run this again. Okay, it introduces a bug there with one line of code that I wrote. Not very efficient. Okay, here we go. So we have this user profile. That is what we read from the file. So it's like a plugin. So we execute this and we have the in-memory version. with, with the children and parents. Okay, so if this is undefined, if not, we have this here, and we're going to set it there, which means that now we will have in memory social personas, 3 social personas instead of 2. And that is perfect. That is exactly what we need. Continue, response, social entity ID created is this. Okay, so I'm happy with these results. This is as far as we are going to get today. So we will be finishing here. And this episode might be the end to the series of the peer-to-peer network for the second iteration. So I don't see any other episode in here in the very short term, unless I had to fix things that are not working. Report it to me. Okay, so thank you for watching this one, and see you next